Good evening and a warm welcome to this, the very last special edition of As It Happens on eNCA. For one last night, a politician will try their hand at presenting, and so tonight, it is a great privilege for me to be your anchor on this show. I am Liezl van Merwe. I'm an eNCA Freedom Party Member of Parliament. You will get a chance to ask me questions on any topic of your choice. The number to call is 011 759 6340 or send a video via WhatsApp on 082 884 6370. Also tweet me at Liezl_VD_Merwe or eNCA. Please use the hashtag As It Happens. This week, my heart bled as eNCA reported about the discovery of the mutilated bodies of two young schoolgirls whose butchered remains were found in an open field in Katlehong. In the northwest, a woman who was allegedly raped by a group of 15 illegal minors is considering dropping her case out of fear for her family's safety. At the very same time, the ruling party has remained mum about the fate of Mduduzi Manana, who is alleged to have abused another woman. Crime and gender-based violence in particular in South Africa is a crisis, and it should be treated as such. The system that is meant to protect us is failing us. It is time to say enough is enough, South Africa. We need our government to do more to protect us. Government's activism and outrage can no longer be confined to funerals and the 16 Days of Activism campaign alone. More on this topic later. Good evening, Kali. Thank you very much for making time for me. As you heard, I just discussed some issues in terms of crime. This week, Kali, you unfortunately made the comment to say that apartheid wasn't a crime against humanity. And I thought you needed to unpack that for us tonight and possibly explain to South Africans why you would hold that ill-informed view and also possibly apologize to South Africans.
Yes, thank you, Liezl. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to at least say what I said and not other people say what I think I said. The whole debate came about when I had an interview with Eusebius McKaiser. He then thought it was wise to send out a tweet, yes, which only states part of my argument. I don't mind if he disagrees with me, but at least there should be space for a nuanced debate.
Yes, but what did you say?
What I said is, and many people say, well, whites try to say they don't want to debate apartheid, we should just move on. But if there is going to be a debate, we must have a nuanced debate. You're not either a full-scale apartheid supporter or you think apartheid should be a crime against humanity, right up there with communism and Nazism.
But surely the world declared apartheid a crime against humanity. I don't think in this day and age we can rewrite history, especially when race relations in South Africa is so fragile. So either you said it is not a crime against humanity, or what arguments
let me tell you what I said. I started off by saying quite clearly, I believe quite firmly that the apartheid system in the end led to the fact that people's human dignity was negatively affected, and we condemn that. So that is quite clear. But what we said, we went into the debate with regard to what happened at the UN. In 1973, there was a motion at the UN. The point we tried to make is that motion was put on the table by the communist bloc. And by the way, 80 million or more than 100 million people died in communism. Idi Amin voted for that motion. And what the American ambassador at the UN said at that stage, he said that apartheid is wrong, but to put it up there with Nazism, where 6 million people were killed in gas camps, was not right. But if we say, okay, let's take your argument to say it is a crime against humanity, then what we saw in history, there's an international tribunal such as Nuremberg, but that never happened.
Okay, but I just don't think we can say that because one atrocity affected X amount of lives or killed X amount of people, and you compare it with another atrocity and say, well, lesser people died, that you suddenly can claim that it's not a crime against humanity. And I think it's a very flawed argument, and I think it's very insensitive for all the people who still bear scars of apartheid.
If I can answer that, people say whites should start talking about apartheid and we should take responsibility. But if we want to speak about it, there should be room for a nuanced debate. In this country, you either have to take in the ANC's narrative of the past, and you dare not question a single question and your head is cut off.
No, I don't think...
Yes, that's what happened this week.
Okay.
People said I'm an apartheid apologist, while I said clearly that we don't support or we're against the fact that people's dignity was infringed. So people should differ with me and debate.
Okay, now let's okay, no, that's fine. Let's agree to disagree then. I think some of the good work that you are doing is speaking out about violent crime, as I spoke in my introduction. Would you agree with me, if we look, for example, at the crisis of crime in our country, would you agree with me that it affects all race groups equally and that we all bear a responsibility to tackle it head on?
Of course, it affects everybody in the country, and that is why we also had marches in the past against crime as a whole. We're saying every person killed, irrespective of who they are, it's one person that too many being killed. But with regard to specifically farm murders, we know it doesn't matter whose figures you look at, you are more likely to be killed if you're a farmer than the average killing figure. And you see some kind of tortures with blow torches, drills.
Yeah, but my point is, for example, 2 schoolgirls butchered, their remains are found, their bodies were butchered. Crime in South Africa affects us all, and it is violent crime. Crime is a crisis, and we should, when we raise these issues, should we not raise it from that point of view to say that it affects us all? And, for example, should AfriForum not take on cases, for example, to speak out loudly about the children on the Cape Flats that are gunned down on a daily basis? Are those not issues that are important?
Let me give you an example. If you have a grouping that fights against rhino poaching, and nobody will tell them, oh, so you don't care about the elephants that are being poached. Or if you're saying to cancer, you know what, cancer, it's very insensitive of you. Why are you only tackling cancer? Why aren't you also tackling HIV/AIDS? Those are the kind of arguments, but in our cases it is wrong. We have come out against those kind of brutal murders quite strongly, but there's no reason to say we cannot speak about farm murders simply because...
No, nobody says no. Yeah. Farm murders are something, it is a crisis, just like crime in general is a crisis. Mr. Kriel, I want to end off by asking you, you went to the United States to speak on a couple of issues. You've called it an act of patriotism, which for me is quite astonishing. Would it not have been better to start here in South Africa by raising your issues with the new administration, with the Cyril Ramaphosa administration, rather than tarnishing our image abroad?
No, I think you're making a big mistake on tarnishing our image.
As a country.
You are confusing the ANC's policy and the country as one thing. We went to speak about the ANC's policy that they adopted in December to expropriate land without compensation.
Yeah,
that is ANC
I know
policy.
You went to go and speak about that, but that process is not even unfolding yet.
Yeah.
Parliament has not, we've just only set up a commission now, a committee that will look into how we will go about the process of expropriating land. Yeah. There's nothing in place yet. So speaking about the policy of the ANC wants to expropriate land, but I also want to be a millionaire, and that hasn't happened yet. So we must distinguish between what's happening and reality. And it's not, I don't think it's fair to go and tarnish the name of South Africa abroad when we've got avenues here in South Africa where we can start.
As an IFP member, I don't think you should say that country's image and the ANC's image is the same thing.
But they are the ruling party.
But it's a different thing. The fact is they took this on as a policy, but our experience with the ANC in the past is we've had many discussions with them on many issues, and nothing ever came from that. The only way, and that's because of their balance of forces ideology, the only way they will be influenced if there is some kind of pressure mechanism. And this is the only pressure mechanism we have to strengthen our participation locally. So of course we are going to participate locally. But of course, what happened in Zimbabwe, many people also said, this is only statements being made by Mugabe to get votes, don't worry. We helped those farmers in Zimbabwe, and they told us. And they said, don't worry, this is just politicking. Okay. We're not going to wait. We're going to start now because it's in the interest of everybody in the country that we don't disrespect property rights, because you'll have a Zimbabwe where 90% of people are unemployed. So it's not only property owners, it will destroy the economy, and that's why it's a deed of patriotism to save this country's economy.
Let's agree to disagree. Mr. Kriel, thank you very much for coming through. I think we've all got a great responsibility to build our country and not to contribute to being divisive or to drive race hate, or even, at this moment we've got already a situation where race relations is so difficult at the moment. But thank you very much. I appreciate your views. Thanks for coming through. After the short break, I've got my special guest, another special guest in fact, but please remember to call me live on 011 759 6340 or tweet me at Liezl_van Merwe or at eNCA.